whether how long that seed will remain viable. At the same time, the same thing happened at Punjab Agriculture University. Our professors, they went to Lahal Spiti Valley of Himachal Pradesh. They were looking for a farm which we could use for experiments for off-season for wheat. And the professors, they visited a Buddhist temple, and there was barley and other things. So he just asked the priest that, how old this barley will be? He said, might be 10, 15 years old. Professor bought that barley from there, germinated it, and it was 100%. So idea came that this could be a natural place for seed germination, seed conservation. But NPGR was being established as a national institute. The Punjab Agriculture University started using that place. We rented a room in one of the houses and put all our germplasm there, and still continue. The only thing is there, no one knows what happened at Punjab Agriculture University. It was one professor whose ideas were the same, and the Northern Gene Bank were the same. They had a support from the global, from the governments, and then what they have, what is they call the doomsday vault, with more than 1 million sample capacity. No, it's more than that. 1 million they have already here with us globally. So these are the two things. So when I came at NPGR, saw the gene banks clearly, closely, but I did realize that we are at risk because we have everything at one place. And anything can happen, and it's not that accidents don't happen, accidents happen. We have document evidences happen. So I thought, no, we need a second gene bank. And I discussed with my colleagues there, realized that this proposal, before I came to NPGR, this proposal was already there. Rishi Tyagi was one who was in the forefront of that one. So it didn't happen. So it was, and there was already a parallel experiment going on at a place called Jangla. It's in the Himalayas in Uttar Pradesh. It is in Ladakh. Yes. And I had actually an opportunity to visit that region while exploring the germplasm. So I had been there. From there we went to Pangong and everything. So when this was done, we said NPGR has already set up an experiment to see how long this germplasm will become viable under natural conditions at Jangla. So that experiment ended in 2020 or so. So I went to Director General, Dr. Mahapatra was the Director General, that we need a second gene bank. What we call, our name was given a safety duplicate gene bank. It was never named as a second gene bank. That is what it went from the NPGR. So I asked that this is the situation, we need a second gene bank. During the same time, I don't know how many of you can recall, there was a Doklam standoff between the armies of India and China. Dr. Mahapatra asked me, how far is this place, Jangla, from the China border? Since I had been there, first hand information I told, if you go by road, it's 50 kilometers or 60 kilometers. If you go directly, it may be 5 kilometers or so. So then his immediate response was, no, let's look for an alternative place. And then we started looking for different places. Dr. Mahapatra was kind enough to constitute a committee under the chairmanship of Dr. Asprodan, and this was a national committee. This committee deliberated all the things. We considered all the places in the country which could be suitable for a safety duplication gene bank, more or less on the same line as Svalbard is. Now, when this was announced, the global leadership, global people saying there's a facility already in Svalbard, why India is not going there, why India wants to have its own. So we had the reasons, everything, politely to say what we are, and that's going on from the beginning. We are at Svalbard, nominally as well. As a partners, we are. The nation is there. Nothing has gone there, even a grain, without the approval of the government. Whatever has gone, it's full approval of the government. Very well, it's not. So, when we are talking of this one, and Dr. Baroda is a very senior, very knowledgeable person with a global experience, we We did a SWOT analysis of at least 20 places in the country, starting from Himalayas up to Wellington, going to Arunachal, even Shillong, to the other side here, including Madhya Pradesh, those hilly regions. All those locations were considered extinct. And when we're talking of a second gene bank, what this was, its idea was to really first have a duplicate of our genetic resources. What's that then? But Delhi is always risky. Anything can happen. We don't have very friendly neighbors. We don't have, burglary also happens. Many people try to really steal one other thing, even air conditioners as well. So all those things, local things are also happening. So that was the reason we needed to have this one. And then what this should be, the one which will have sufficient capacity. Capacity not for hosting what NDPGR has, but in addition to that, because I was talking to Botanical Survey of India, I was talking to people in the forest research, I was talking to people in the community seed banks as well. The idea was to have a place where the requirements of everyone could be fulfilled. National means the NDPGR croplands, all general seeds which are not directly as croplands, but they are our ecology. The forest research genetic resources which are very, very important. All the seeds which our community seed banks are really putting in, because community seed banks, they don't have the cold rooms, they are very simple. They are the germplasm may remain viable for a year or two, but they should also be able to keep there. Not only this, our neighboring countries should also have access to this one to store their germplasm here under national trade. So it's based on all that SWOT analysis. We found that probably Lahore Spiti is one place that was not considered earlier because Lahore Spiti was not connected to them during winter. 6 months it was disconnected until in 2020-21, the same time, Atal tunnel became operational, so that became completely accessible around the year. We knew that area very well. We identified a place which is a hill, exactly as the Svalbard is. And that's a government land. Don't have it there. That's one option. Now, this second gene bank is not only a physical building where you can have the cold rooms, everything there, and all this stuff. No. There's a scientific thinking behind that one as well. There are a large number of the wild species. Every crop has the crop wild rarities. And our today's crops, what we are seeing at the farmers' fields through the public system, has a lot of input from these wild species. India as a nation, Suman, is very rich, but we are not rich in everything. This thing we should also know it. Wheat, for example, did not originate from here. Maize did not originate from here. Tomato did not originate from here. So many, I have hundreds of crops where we have the example they did not originate. Their wild relatives are not growing here naturally. And under the plant treaty and the new regime, getting wild species germplasm from other countries has become really difficult. So what our idea was to really have our gene parks of the wild species, which could be planted, nurtured, and allowed to evolve as the climate evolves. So what we say, wherever, I'm not saying the committee has recommended a couple location. It may not be approved because it's ultimately the cabinet which has to take a decision based on the scientific input they will get from the national institutions, from these meetings, which could be very, very important, and I think your proceedings should go to them at an earliest. We have a meeting this afternoon as well. Now, see, our idea was to really have a place where we can bring the wild species of wheat which are actually originating from the Middle East recently, which is highly volatile region in the world, and everything is devastation. But those were collected in early 70s, 80s. The germplasm is available with the global system. We got it from the global system at NVP, everything is multiplied. Idea was, along with this one, you have a bigger area, and that's will be what we will be really stressing. Wherever this is, it's not only a building space, it's a big area where not the cultivated, we will have these parks for all the wild species which could grow in that region. If it's here, specific group of species will grow. If it's there, a specific group of species will grow. If there, a specific group of species. But to have that one, we are lacking in many of them. Take groundnuts. We do not have a single species here in India, wild species. Take wheat. We do not have a single wild species of wheat here in India. Take tomatoes, exactly like that. Take maize. We don't have a single wild species of maize growing in India. We need to really look in those sorts of things where we can have this gene bank, not as a structure. It's very important to have a safety duplicate where you're safely skewering your germplasm using minimum energy levels, but at the same time and scientific input to see what side the world is going and how we really have to use our own, because India's climate is similar to anywhere in the world. We can have, for every crop, we can have a niche that could be there on this one. So these are, if we look at the summary of this one, this idea was to have this gene bank, which could be primarily for storage, purpose of the germplasm, for public sector, private sector, they also have a right, they should also store. Now, what they have to store, that's a different thing. But if they have the breeding material they want to store, they should have a space. They are also contributing to the nation's economy. They are not aliens. Right? We have to ensure, we have to take that into consideration as well. Farming communities. The seeds, the farmers, for example, I see there are many hundreds of farmers who are passionate here conserving their germplasm. The next generation may not be interested into that one. That should be conserved by the farming communities as well. Our neighbors may need, our neighboring countries may need our support. If we want to be global leaders, we have to provide these sort of spaces to the neighbors as well, to the other countries who are nearer to us than the Svalbard. So these are some of the things on which we really were working on that one. And also, since we know there are two major groups, one which could be multiplied through seed, second which cannot be, which has to be vegetative. And we need a safety duplication for both of them. For example, banana, it's only through in vitro culture. All our fruit trees, they are through in vitro cultures. There are several species where seed cannot be stored. It has to be in cryoconservation. So we need a parallel facility for this type of work as well. And of course, this can happen anywhere in any of the big area which is closer to a big city, because you need people there, you need the liquid nitrogen always there, you need other facilities to be there. It cannot be an isolated place as well. So these are some of the things, how this idea of the second gene bank started. And this report was submitted to the Government of India in 2021. And then it was pursued by ICR regularly, continuously. And that's how the whole government really came to this idea to have a 17. Thanks to the government to agree to this idea that yes, we need this one, and providing the finances specifically for this one. And of course, we have all the nation here, very wise people all around who can decide what sort of gene bank it has to be, where it has to be, how it has to be. But it's not simply a building. The idea has to be much larger than we are thinking. Thank you.